Good morning. It is December 31st, 2016, and this is my review of the Glenwood Model 7020 boiler. My sole purpose for making this video is to hopefully prevent anyone else from making a horrendous error like I did in purchasing this unit or purchasing anything from Glenwood LLC. This video will be lengthy, so if you're not interested in this type of information, then stop it and go on to something else. But I feel it's important that prospective purchasers realize the magnitude of their mistake. Now, I have quite a shopping list of items to go over, and like I said, this is going to be a long video. If you're not interested, go somewhere else. The subjects I'll cover are in no particular order. I just wrote a list of information that I feel is pertinent, and we'll go from there. I would have to say on the outset that this is the worst heating appliance I have ever had the displeasure of owning. It is by far the Yugo of heating devices. So let's get started. Now, this panel over here, and I feel this is important. This panel is from my Eco, and unfortunately my Eco died. This is the spec plate off the back of the Eco. It gives the manufacturer the model number, fuel type, how much heat it will produce, the testing specs, so forth and so on, yada yada yada, and most importantly, certifications. Another spec plate. This one's from my gas-fired fireplace. It's an Enviro. I really like this unit. Again, model number, fuel type, heat output, and so forth and so on, and testing certificates. Interesting. Now, the Glenwood shows up in a plain brown wrapper. It has no spec plate. It has nothing. The only thing you get with this is this decal on the front of the unit, the Glenwood, model number 7020, and a serial number, and where it's manufactured. That's it. There's no fuel type. There's no BTU rating. There's no testing specifications. There's no UL rating. Nothing. And I'm not sure that's legal to ship any device like this without some kind of spec plate. I'm not sure, but it certainly doesn't seem reasonable to me. So let's begin. I've already covered the spec plates. Again, there's nothing here. Plain brown package. Oh, I know. This is not like a toaster or a washing machine or a refrigerator or anything else that you get into your home and you discover there are major problems with it. This is 1,300 pounds of I'm not moving anywhere unless you make me. It is most difficult to move. And one of the things that It's not even on my list, but I'll mention it here now. The footprint on this is wide, but the support is narrow. So as you're moving this thing around, it is really tippy side to side. It wants to fall over. Once it's in position, it's happy. But as you're moving this thing around, it is top heavy and it likes to tip over. So it's hazardous. Like I said, it's going to be a long review. Long, painful review. And I don't do this out of spite. I'm just trying to prevent somebody else from making a bonehead error like I did and buying anything from this company. Now, I watched their videos and I talked to the owner of the business a couple of times. And once I started having problems, I went back to him and he blew me off. He says, well, go talk to the dealer. The dealer didn't build this. You built this. Tell me how it works. Well, that's proprietary. That's BS. If you look at any other manufacturer of wood boilers or coal boilers or any other boilers, they give you detailed cross-section views of how the thing works, how the air travels through the unit, so forth and so on. I was at a dealer with the Vegas. They actually had a unit there cut in half so you could see the innards of the machine. So trying to come back on me that this is proprietary is bullshit. There's no other word for it. This is a bad design. From the get-go, it's a bad design. Okay. Right out of the chute here. From the factory, and I'll include a photograph of this before I made any changes. From the factory, this bypass lever, okay, you open it up, let the smoke out, blah, 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 all right, and then you shut it when it's in normal operation. From the factory, that is right there, okay, and like any device or car or anything that you use, you're not going to discover these things until you use it for a few days or a week or whatever. But when from the factory, it's right there. And when you pull it, it's right here in the center. It blocks your access to get into the firebox. And you say, well, so what? Well, I'll tell you what. Every time you go down there to do anything in the firebox, clean, move things around, yada, 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 that thing hits you in the head. Or, like it'll poke you in the eye. It's a royal pain in the ass. Why they put it there? Convenience. Okay, it's cheap. To come right out of that center plate, it's cheap. Okay? The second thing is, okay, this, when you want to clean the heat exchangers, you got to take this front cover off. Now, this here is a wire spring handle, knob, or whatever you want to call it, and that keeps you from getting scalded from touching hot metal, which is a good idea. But these are designed to be put on and stay on. They are not made to come off. But every time you need to take this cover off, you got to take that knob off. And it fights you every inch of the way, every time. So what I did was I took it off and I took my Dremel tool and I ground the inside of that so it's a slip fit. Okay? It doesn't fight me. And then I welded on a stainless steel Allen head screw. Then I welded in a couple of stainless steel nuts. So all I have to do, it doesn't fight me. Anytime I want to take that off, I just unscrew it and remove it. But and there's another one over here, okay? This does not want to come off. It's not designed to come off. This one was the same way. Absolute junk. You go. Alright? See how nice that works? Mr. Factory? The second thing, from the factory, they put brass nuts on here. And I understand why they do that, so it doesn't seize up. But you got to take this off frequently to clean the heat exchangers. So you need tools. You need tools dedicated to do this. So again, I stop and think about it. All right, I just had some scrap brackets here that I welded on steel nuts, and I can easily back these off with my hand. I do not need specific tools. This works very well and easy, as you can see. I back them off, I put them up there. I've got one on the other side. Alright, see how easy that is? No tools required. And now I can take that cover off. There's a cover on the back of the smokestack. Same thing. I took some steel nuts, welded on these little bracket scraps I had saved from something. And same deal. I don't need wrenches. It's a confining space back there anyway, just because of my installation. And it just works easy. This is a big enough pain in the ass. Cleaning should be, if you want to encourage cleaning, you should make it easy. What else? And the cover on the back, it didn't fit well from the factory. So on any cover, steel on steel, I feel it needs gaskets. Some type of gasketing. There was a pour made up on the back. I added gaskets to that, so it seals properly. And I'll show you, let me grab something here. Where did it go? Ah, right here. Now, again, forgive me, this is just cob jobs, okay? This is the sealing goop that they used between the air box and the fan. And as you can see, hopefully, there's no way that that can seal properly. And this thing leaked air terribly into the firebox when I first got it. It still leaks some, and I'm not sure where the air is leaking in from. I haven't figured that out yet. I've had this thing running about 2 months. But this is just sloppy, and there's no way that that's ever going to seal. You can see the glob. How's that going to seal? And by the way, that fell off when I separated the box from the motor. Okay, I'm working getting off no linear path here, but while I'm down here talking about this air box, the air adjustment from the factory more than likely was designed by somebody in Metal Shop 101. A pathetic attempt at any measure. They had 2 thumb screws underneath a little baffle here, and you can't see the opening. You have no idea whether it's a 1/4 inch, a 1/2 inch, or 1.5 inches. You have no idea. Get that light out of your eyes. So what I did was I took this box off. I welded on a piece of threaded rod, a couple of jam nuts, a little indicator tab right here, and I had a piece of tape measure that I just epoxied in place. Well, what that allows me to do is I can take that thumb screw and I can easily change the draft. And you're always playing with this thing and trying to get it to run better. But just these are the type of things that tell me that somebody took some time and thought to build a quality product. And this is not it. Same thing here. I gasketed this. I added a high temperature fireplace gasket between the air box and the blower. And something I just discovered yesterday, this started making noise. On my Eco, there's a little flapper between the blower and the combustion chamber. Here it's just exposed to whatever's any smoke, creosote going around on the inside. And creosote is now coating the impeller of this fan. And I'll try to get a picture of my Eco fan. Now this has been here 2 months and my Eco is 7 years. My Eco is spotless. Some dust, but no creosote. This is coated with creosote. So I'm going to have to come up with some flapper mechanism and modify it again to try to get it right. And while I'm right here, I might as well talk about the door handles. From the factory, these stops, I just bolted that on there. I didn't feel like dragging this door all the way up to my shop. I mean, this stuff is heavy. What happens is when you unlock this and bring it out and let it go, from the factory, it just comes down and crashes into the air box. More insulting, the lower door from the factory, when you open it up and open the door up, if I can get it like this, it would crash and drag on the floor. So I just took a washer, bent it up, and I did take this up to my shop and welded it on there. And again, just some thought of the end user, and that does not drag on the floor. You go. Okay. Little things. Where did it go? Did I lose it already? Here it is. Right here is an inspection port. You can look in there and gaze at the fire, and they give you this little plug button and to take out, put in whatever you want to do with it. Again, a pain in the ass. So I just took a neodymium magnet piece of sheet metal. I will never lose that. If I want it out of the way, I can move it down there or put it back. I mean, come on, guys. Okay. Now, supposedly, if you read the advertisement from Obadiah's, this is being sold as just a coal burning unit at the moment, which is fine. I understand that. If this were truly designed to be a coal burning unit, then the door is hinged on the wrong side. If you look at the majority of the other coal boilers out there, or coal burning units, the doors are hinged on the right side as you face the unit. And I believe the reason is that most people stand this way when they shovel coal in the unit. This does not have a hopper. You have to physically shovel the coal into the unit. Now with the door hinged this way, the door is in the way. It makes it inconvenient. So if this is truly a coal unit, then the door, to me, the door is hinged on the wrong side. So where are we going from here? I'm going to talk about the cleaning tool. Where is the cleaning tool? Where is that marvel of engineering? This is the cleaning tool that is supplied with the unit. I'll lay it on the floor. Now that, just by looking at it, you can tell that somebody put a tremendous amount of thought in that. So let's see how well it works. Okay, I've removed that front cover. I'll back up here so you can see. There, I've removed that front cover. And again, these are all extremely heavy pieces that you're working with all the time here. So there's this marvelous creation, this wonderful cleaning tool that's supplied with a boiler. And if you do any kind of research on any of the other credible boiler manufacturers, they make a point of how important it is to remove all residue from the heat exchanger. If I get this pointed up in the right direction. Now this here makes absolutely no contact with the heat exchanger plates. Okay? Now how is that supposed to clean? I don't know. I mean, I can send this thing all the way down and all the way back and never have it make contact. All the way down and all the way back, and you can see the amount of gap between the cleaning tool. Got to be over 1/8 of an inch. There's no way that this can work properly. So here's what I came up with, and it's not pretty, but it works. Where'd it go? All right, I got thinking about this, and again, if you go out to other boiler manufacturers, they make or sell scrapers or brushes that get in there and remove as much residue from the heat exchanger place as possible. So I had some scrap stainless steel plate, or sheet metal rather, and I came up with this ugly looking device right here. Now originally those were vertical, straight up and down, but I discovered that these heat exchanger plates are not continuous. Right about there's a vertical separation, and I presume that's for heat expansion. So with those scraping edges vertical, they just fell into the slots and it got locked in place. And I had a good time getting it out of there. So I'm going to set up a little tripod here and show you how well this works. Now you already saw the factory cleaning tool. It doesn't do anything. Okay, I've got the tripod set up and zoomed in on the heat exchanger. So what I discovered was, if again, this is spring loaded, and I can increase the pressure. This is pretty good pressure on here. I just squeeze them together. And I push it up there. Now watch the residue that comes out. And remember, the factory tool did nothing. So I come over to another set. Now that is done properly. One more, not to bore you too much. And that's what I want to hear. I want to hear scraping action. Took me about 15 minutes to make that, and another 15 minutes to redesign it. One that got stuck in the vertical openings. It should be obvious that I changed from the aquastats over to a digital controller. And Obadiah was not happy with me at all when I told him I was going to do that, and they voided my warranty. I have that in email if anybody's interested. But they told me, well, you've changed the boiler and your warranty is voided. And it's been my experience that these warranties are like a fart in the wind, and they'll do anything they can to get out of paying any warranty claims. So that, and that just says fine. You don't want to warrant it. I mean, this is junk anyway. I'm going to do my best to fix it. So I changed over from the aquastats to, I used the brains from my Eco. I just like it better. It gives me precise measurements. I can program it to do what I want. The aquastats are fine, but I just like this setup better. It gives me a direct readout of the temperature of the boiler. Right now I have it in standby. I also have thermocouples, 2 thermocouples, one in the stack, and there's one down here inside the firebox, so I can keep tabs on the temperature near the heat exchanger. And I use that so I can adjust the air temperatures. Air temperatures, air flow. How's that? Onward with my gripe list. Up on the top of the boiler, the actual boiler itself, there are these parts that are welded in. They're called bungs, B-U-N-G-S. And they're threaded, and that's what you put your pipe fittings in, and that's what this is threaded into, a bung. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bungs on this unit. Unfortunately, the bungs are too short. The bungs should come up to the top, at least to the top of this outer shell. And by the way, this outer shell is $800. $800 for a little sheet metal. Whew. Little sheet metal and paint. 800 bucks. Okay, back to the bungs. So why is that a problem? Well, after 2 days of running this, I developed a water leak in one of the fittings. And with the bungs so far out of sight, you can't figure out which one is leaking unless you disassemble the entire unit. Remove this outer shell, and an added feature, pleasure, you get to pull the chimney. So what I discovered was I had some bad pipe dope, and this fitting right here leaked. But you got to take out the pressure gauge, you got to take out the aquastats, you got to take out the chimney, you got to take the side panels off, you got to remove the top. I mean, come on, people. If those bungs were up level with this, or let's go crazy, a little above, so you can see what the hell is going on, I would have been able to tell easily that it was this fitting that was leaking, and I would just been able to disassemble this portion. Instead, I had the added pleasure of taking this all apart again. Do not buy anything from Glenwood LLC unless you want to be occupied fixing and redesigning. And again, I'm not doing this for fun. I'm doing this to prevent some poor schmuck like me who really can't afford to make these kind of errors. What else? The manual. The manual that's supplied with this thing is a joke. It's available online. You can look at it. They've got lines across the text pointing to nothing. It's just unbelievable. So that was my review of the Glenwood Model 7020. And I hope I've presented enough facts to convince you that this is not a good product. In my opinion, it shouldn't even be sold, but it's not a good product, and to shop for something else. And just to rub it in the nose of the factory. You see how nice this works, Mr. Factory? Not in your face, doesn't poke you in the eye, you don't hit your head on it. Pretty simple. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.